Hello and a very warm welcome. I'm here to give you lots of tips on how you can improve either your PTE or IELTS exam mark. As you know, both exams are quite tricky and difficult, so hopefully these tips will help you pass and get a better score. Shall we start the tips? Let's go. My first tip is to make sure that you absolutely understand this. Do you know what this is? Well, it's the PTE Score Guide. It's a PDF document that Pearson, the publisher of the exam, release every year to give you an idea of how they mark the test. It's imperative, it's really important that you download this document and make sure you study it and find out where your question marks come from. Did you know that some of the questions are negatively marked? So you need to be aware that, for example, listening multiple choice, multiple answer is negatively marked. So there's no point guessing. You also need to know, for example, that the speaking section in retell lecture and describe image, there is no grammar mark. That means that you can make mistakes grammatically in these sentences, so you don't have to worry too much. Make sure you study this document and it will help you improve your mark. PTE tip 2. You have to be aware and be careful. Online, there are many companies and schools and people who make videos who claim that they have real exam questions. I am really dubious. That means that I really doubt whether they do have the real questions. Be careful with these people because it's very likely, and I have seen it, that they take questions from exam textbooks. So textbooks like the Macmillan textbook or the Green PTE preparation textbook. Some of these people take the questions and they try to fool you into thinking that they are real exam questions. When you go to a test centre, they are really strict on allowing mobile phones. You can't take notes out of the test centre, so it's almost impossible to remember what type of questions came up. Just think about it. There are 20 different types of question, so therefore it's really impossible. Can you imagine trying to remember 10 or 12 repeat sentences? If I were you, I wouldn't believe these people when they claim to have a prediction file or real exam questions. Come to a place where you can improve in the most professional way. We will give you the tips to help you improve. For example, how to improve your oral fluency, or maybe improve your vocabulary. It's not worth thinking that you're going to find real exam questions. Pearson is a company which has millions and millions of dollars to spend on making new questions every year. They will have a bank of questions that they change on a daily basis. So if I were you and listen to my advice, make sure that you take the claims of these people online not very seriously. PTE trick 3. In the listening section and in the reading section, here's a little tip for you. If you see a word in the reading text and if you see it in the question, there is a very good chance that this is not the right answer. Pearson specifically put the same word in the text and in the question to try to trick the lower level speakers. They will use synonyms and words which mean the same in the correct answer. So if you hear a word or if you see a word which is identical to the question, just be careful. They are probably trying to trick you. Now that's not always the case, but the majority of cases I have found is that the same word appearing in the text and the same word appearing in the question is actually the wrong answer. PTE tip number 4. Today I want to talk to you about the personal introduction. As you know, this is an unscored part of the test, but please remember it's quite important. We believe that the Pearson PTE system uses this part to check your baseline level of speaking, how quickly you speak and at what pitch and frequency your voice is. Therefore, we think that you should speak fluently and as much as possible during those 25 seconds. According to Pearson, they say that maybe this could be sent to a university so they can listen to information about you. We absolutely don't think that's true because, if I'm honest, universities don't really care where you're from or why you're taking the Pearson exam. They really won't listen to this. So Our advice to you, if you really want to do well in this section in terms of the speaking fluency, we will give you 5 things that you can talk about. So, introduce yourself with your first name. Maybe say where you're from. Say what your education or professional background is, why you're taking PTE, and maybe something about your hobbies. Okay, so if I were you, I would say something like this. Hi, I'm Chris and I'm originally from London. I studied engineering at the University of London, and in the future I want to be a civil engineer. I'm taking PTE for permanent residency reasons, and in my free time I love watching cricket and playing soccer. So there's an example for you. Make sure that you speak fluently and change your pitch if you can. Good luck with that one. Tip number 5 for PTE is how to improve your general speaking. Lots of students ask me this question, and the most useful piece of advice is to use software apps that recognize your voice and they write it as dictation. So when you speak into your phone, it will write what you say. This is exactly how the Pearson PTE system works. When you answer questions, it will just take the words and convert them into text. There are lots and lots of different apps available on the internet, so we really recommend utilizing those. Make sure you practice, record yourself, listen to your voice. Do you go up and down, or are you speaking at the same flat level for the whole time? You need to vary the pitch of your voice. How accurate is the audio that you record? When you look at the text, is it the same as what you said? You should be asking all these questions. If you practice that every day, it will really help you improve. Good luck. PTE tip number 6. As you know, the exam centre is loud and it has lots of people talking at the same time. If you only spend your time practicing alone, you will find it very strange when you go into the exam centre. So if I were you, I would be trying to practice with other people around talking at the same time. Use some headphones to make it similar to how it will be in the exam, and just practice by recording yourself. Are you being heard when you're speaking with other people talking around you? Super useful. Good luck. PTE tip 7. You have to focus on clarity, and in order to do that when speaking, you need to use your lips a lot more. So for those 40 minutes when you're sitting in the exam, try to focus on using your lips as much as possible. Some people tend to talk like this and it just becomes a little bit unclear. So if you use your lips a lot more, it becomes a lot clearer. Can you do that at home? Try it and practice it. PTE tip number 8. Don't panic. I know many students in the exam get to questions and the question is super hard, and they start panicking. My recommendation is don't do that. Stay calm, because I know students who have failed in questions. They came out of the exam and they said, Chris, I didn't answer repeat sentence, for example, 2 questions. And I say, that's okay. You can still score 90, even if you miss questions. Now, I don't recommend missing questions. Always say something, but don't panic if it's really difficult. PTE tip 9. Check your essay. At the end of your essay writing, please spend the last 2 minutes checking your essay. Make sure that you don't have any punctuation problems. Do you know the number of times I see 2 words connected with a full stop with no space? That will cause a spelling mistake. Also, just check simple spelling errors. It's very easy for the computer to check your spelling and your grammar because there are multiple different pieces of software around the world that can do that. Therefore, spend 1 minute checking and make sure that you check your word count. I'll talk about that in another tip. PTE tip 10. Please try and use short sentences. In the exam, it's very easy for the computer to assess your grammar level. So if you use short sentences, you will reduce the risk of making grammatical mistakes. The shorter the sentence, the better. If you want, you can join 2 sentences together by using a conjunction such as and or but or because. But to begin with, just write short sentences and then if you want, join them together. It's as simple as that. PTE tip 11. Pay attention to grammar and spelling. Use grammar and spelling checkers in your preparation time before the exam, but please make sure that you look at the error and think why. Why did I make that mistake? What can I do to prevent that from happening again in the future? Look at the red line and always think why. A good example is that many students say, one of the problem is, and this is a grammatical mistake because one of is always plus the plural. So we would always say, one of the problems is. Okay, so just bear that in mind, remember that. Make sure that you use your brain when you're checking your spelling and grammar. PTE tip 12. Be careful of online resources. I have seen many websites with completely rubbish resources. They use texts which have grammar or spelling mistakes. They have questions with the incorrect answer. So don't trust all websites. Choose one which is trustworthy. Make sure that you always think, do they have the experience of the PTE exam, and are they competent enough to check for grammar, spelling and accuracy mistakes when they're writing their own materials. PTE tip 13. Word count. I can't stress this enough. It is so important. You should never write fewer than 200 words in your essay, and you should never write fewer than 50 words in listening summarized spoken text. You will automatically lose marks just for writing below the word count. So if I were you, if you are struggling to write this many words in the exam, in the last minute, if you need more words, I simply recommend copy and paste a short section of the test and put it at the end, okay? And that will take you over your word limit and you will not lose marks.